Look at the Middle Eastern infrastructure boom. Trillions of dollars are pouring into mega projects across the Gulf, rapidly turning desert into dense urban skylines. Behind this influx of capital lies a startling reality. When surveyed, an overwhelming 99.2% of regional construction professionals reported experiencing project delays, and nearly 60% of those are pushed back by more than 6 months. These continuous schedule overruns represent a systemic epidemic. When timeline failures become the rule rather than the exception, they threaten the viability of the entire region's economic vision. To understand why this happens, we can look at a comprehensive empirical study analyzing the specific failures of project management within the Middle Eastern construction sector. The researchers gathered primary data from working project managers, engineers, and surveyors across the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Oman. The data revealed something critical. External bad luck, like extreme weather or global supply chain shocks, are secondary. The vast majority of these delays are caused by 4 distinct internal project management failures. By examining the statistical output from this study, we can map the exact pressure points where these highly capitalized megaprojects collapse under their own weight. The first fracture occurs before the concrete is even poured. In megaprojects driven by strategic national agendas, political pressure often forces rushed planning and poorly defined scopes. This output table from the study's regression analysis confirms the impact. Early-stage planning deficiencies strongly predict severe timeline overruns later in the project lifecycle. The second fracture is a lack of rigorous schedule control. Many regional projects still rely on informal progress tracking rather than dynamic, proactive monitoring systems. Without real-time tracking, microscopic delays invisible on a static spreadsheet rapidly compound. One delayed material delivery pushes back the framing, which delays the electrical work, causing a massive disruption down the line. The data isolates the damage. Looking at the regression output for schedule control failures, we see a high predictive weight with a beta value of 0.619. This scatterplot maps schedule control failures against project delays. The strong positive correlation proves that inadequate scheduling practices practically guarantee a delay. Failing to accurately plan the initial scope, and then failing to dynamically track the daily progress, creates a domino effect before the physical build even gains momentum. The third fracture is financial mismanagement, specifically the bureaucratic friction in lengthy public sector payment cycles. When cash flow bottlenecks occur, the physical consequences on site are immediate. Contractors stall their work to preserve capital, and the material supply chain completely freezes. The statistical output isolates this financial disruption, showing it directly correlates to elongated completion timelines, with a beta weight of 0.499. This scatterplot confirms the trend. Liquidity crises and poor budgeting practices universally push project timelines outward. The final fracture is labor and resource management. The Gulf construction sector relies heavily on expatriate workers to operate these complex, high-density sites. This creates unique regional bottlenecks. Strict visa processing delays, acute skill mismatches, and sudden workforce demobilizations routinely interrupt the flow of labor. Combining restricted capital flow with a paralyzed, uncoordinated labor force completely neutralizes physical progress on the ground, halting the project entirely. To solve this, the study tested 2 interventions. The first acts as a statistical mediator between management failure and delay: risk management. This functions as a critical shock absorber, weakening the impact of poor planning and financing before they ruin the schedule. In practice, this means adopting formal frameworks, like ISO 31000 standards, to model and anticipate cash flow crises or labor shortages before they physically manifest on site. Proactive risk modeling provides the armor required to survive inevitable project shocks in a volatile market. The final piece of the solution is the study's statistical moderator, digital construction technology. The data identified 3 tools with the highest impact: building information modeling, AI-driven schedule analytics, and real-time IoT site monitoring. These digital platforms force absolute operational transparency, stripping away the informal, localized tracking that allows small delays to hide. But the research carries a crucial caveat. These advanced digital tools fail entirely if the project lacks pre-existing adaptive governance structures to support them. You cannot digitize poor management. The success of these interventions directly determines whether the region's massive macroeconomic goals, like Vision 2030, succeed or fail. To survive the ongoing Middle Eastern construction boom, project leaders must completely abandon reactive firefighting in favor of risk-resilient, digitally governed execution. Look at